What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about ruby honing rods. Yes, you probably saw it as I did from NEEVES. Jared was not kidding. These ruby-based, they're synthetic ruby, basically made in a lab. Rubies are made of aluminum and oxygen, 2 particles of aluminum bound with 3 particles of oxygen. So in terms of raw ingredients, obviously cheap ones, but if you think about diamonds, again, just carbon, but there's a lot of compression that goes on. I don't know how it's made, but these at $40 are an amazing, I think, good balance point between something that would be diamond, which would just be coated and, basically bonded to usually steel or ceramic. This does hit the sweet spot, and I think NEEVES nailed it when he found this and told everybody. So I'm going to pause this, and then we're going to come back and talk about some sharpening or honing, techniques that I do and why this is the perfect gift. Unfortunately, these are sold out on Amazon following his link. I did follow and I got a few to give away as gifts, and unfortunately, I did check, and they're actually out today. I imagine this company will be very happy to sell more. The product is called Vigorcraft. They were $40 on Amazon. Again, I followed NEEVES knives. I'll link him below. You all know him already if you've made it to my channel. But they're sold out. I imagine they will come out with more in the future. Again, they were 40 bucks. A great buy for what you're getting. It comes with, this little sheet. It comes with a little bit of 2000 grit sandpaper, wet dry, and all you got to do, this is essentially a surface restore. The coolest thing about these is they are 100% solid all the way through. So unlike a diamond, rod that is compound on there, this is ruby all the way through. You can use this for the next 20 years every single day. And I actually tested this on a few knives. You can kind of see. And sure enough, EDCs, 14C28N. This particular knife here is a Nitro V, Nick Nichols. This is HRC'd at in between 60-62. So absolutely powder form steel. It did a perfect job. Your common whatever 420Cs. This is Cutco. You might have people come to you with Cutco knives, and this is again, a sharpening. In between sharpenings, this is going to be the way to go, and even just like turn them over. If you're like me as a knife guy, you are literally your entire family tree. The sharpener for all those knives, and this is my Christmas gift to people to say, hey, you can maintain these in between, and then I don't have to, sharpen them as much. They're going to be able to manage the chips and that sort of thing, or live with some of those chips. So yeah, I will say it's absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk about some sharpening techniques that I used that I'm going to kind of teach my family on. Okay, let's start with what I was previously, what had always recommended or given as gifts. And this was the Spyderco Sharpmaker. It has 40-degree edge, so 20-degree from level on each side, making a 40-degree total, or a 30-degree edge. And these basically you have ceramic, essentially bonded ceramic, goes in at those angles, and you decide what angle you're going to want to go at. A lot of people that I sharpen knives for tend to beat them up, go through bone instead of using cleavers and things, so they do tend to pick up chips. I tend to recommend, so what I'll do is I will reprofile them at roughly 17 degrees on a fixed angle system, and then I will just essentially create micro bevels at 20-degree angles through the next year or two or whatever, until enough chips get in there that essentially necessitate taking off enough steel to go ahead and reform a new 17-degree edge. But what that does is, in fact, let me go ahead and pull out a piece of paper. This Spyderco Sharpmaker, it's a great tool. I want to say it goes for like 80 bucks-ish though, and that's if you get it on sale. Let me pull a piece of paper in here. So in short, this is a made up 17-degree angle, but I'm going to basically say is, so I'll profile knives at, let's say, like a 17-degree edge like that. Hopefully that's showing up in there. Oh, maybe let me zoom it up here. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. So I'll profile an edge like this, and then what I'll come in with and use it with this Sharpmaker is at a 20-degree edge bevel. So it's going to essentially, first time they come back with me, I'm going to imagine this being an additional 3 degrees there. I'm going to hit that, and it's going to come to there, and then same thing with this. I'm going to come at that slight angle, and it's going to go there. So what you're going to effectively end up doing is creating a secondary angle. So it's going to essentially look like this, that, that, that. So yeah, that's going to be that secondary. Oh, it's got terrible there. Maybe a little bit easier to see. And then I'll do that for a little while, and this would be the entire bevel here. I'll kind of do it until it starts to approach the top. For all that matter, kitchenware. This is really, we're talking kitchenware. Can you do EDCs? Absolutely. Don't necessarily need to, and a lot of people that are EDC folks, I would do this sort of thing in between for them too. Just, again, kind of maintaining their edges and so forth. So as you keep doing that, then next time you come through at that angle, you're going to be coming in a little bit higher up, and then again, you're going to go in parallel. You're going to come in a little bit higher. So you're going to end up just creating a slider, a big edge until it would go to 20 degrees. And so that's kind of how I pretty much maintain edges of all the family and friends that I sharpen for. And this is the absolute tool that I'm going to have them and teach them to utilize. So if you think about, so let me pull back the spider tail here for just a second and move this out of the way. I'm just kind of rushing to do this. This is not necessarily like a full and proper review. It's just a holy crap, NEEVES was right. Oops, let me go back out to 1x. There we go. So nice 20-degree angles. Basically draw down straight, and not a problem. When I basically essentially do that from a 17-degree edge, and what that'll do is that'll give me a nice that nice secondary bevel. But for this one, the way I'm going to teach them is, because it's really recommended to, essentially, sorry, this is right in your eyes. Hold this straight. There we go. Yeah. Imagine holding that straight though. And how do you get to a 20-degree edge? So for myself, it's easy enough essentially just to have this in view. And if you kind of look at where that's going to be a 20-degree angle, I can either hold this straight and move my knife to that edge, or I can basically make my edge parallel to the opposite side here, essentially just eyeballing that, and that's pretty darn close to a 20-degree edge. I'll go ahead and move this a little bit out of the way there, and again, just basically edge eyeballing that, come down, keep that fairly straight, do my first one, and then same thing on the other side. Just flip hands, eyeball it, parallel it to that one, draw down straight. Do that just a few times in these. He basically did it 5 times with pretty much each of his. Parallel it, and you can get a lot faster at this. This is basically the knife honing. Oops, kind of missed that one. Moved a little bit. My right hand is steadier. I guess I could actually rotate my right hand over to this side, go cross arm. Yeah, you know what? I think that might even work better. Just a little rotation. Yeah, I like that actually. And sure enough, let me grab a piece of paper. And I know I still have a couple chips in this knife, but boy, to restore things that are going to be tomato skin cutting, this is super thin paper. And I know it caught on that one. There's definitely a couple chips in there, I know. But I took a look at this through, sorry, I'll get that out of there. I took a look at this through my loop, and son of a gun, it was perfect. Essentially created a micro bevel with my strategy. So is this the tool for people that want to, perfectly sharpen their EDC, the $500 EDC at the exact angle every single time? No, you know what? A freehand stone or, fixed angle system is going to be your thing. But if you've been looking for a solution, and you do a lot of knife sharpening for family members and friends, if you've been looking for a solution that you can essentially teach them and get them going on their own and maintain those blades in between sharpenings, you're going to have a lot less labor. Plus, they make for great gifts. At only $40, again, the Spyderco is going to be double that. You're going to be getting ceramic. It's not going to do as well. And when I looked at this through the loop, it was a beautiful micro bevel. So yeah, in the end, was Neves right? Yes. You should follow his link when more of these come out. And if you're looking for this solution, it is a 100% recommendation. This is the Vigorcraft Solid Ruby knife sharpener. So yeah, enough said. I hope this was interesting. If not, useful. I appreciate the like and subscribe if it was. Take care.